All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about wrestle ups from the bottom position. Okay, so before I get into it, I think understanding how to wrestle up from a guarded position or just any position on your back is super beneficial, especially if you guys are just starting out. It's good, one, because it makes you a harder opponent to pin, right? If you're not accepting being on your back, you immediately become a harder person to deal with because now the top person has to put weight on you to keep you down. The second thing is, I think this is good to diversify your attacks. So, like, let's just say I'm here with Nate, and if you guys been watching like CJI2 or a lot of the recent nogi matches, right? You get a lot of people that are just insistent on entering in on the legs here, okay, or they're just trying to create entanglements, but they just stay on their back the whole time. And I think it's good to break up between attacking the legs and being able to threaten wrestling up so that you can, one, give your partner different looks and create different reactions so that you can eventually get whatever it is you intend on getting. Okay, so let's get into the position. So there's a lot of different positions you guys can wrestle up in, and we're actually going to do this as a series. Okay, so you could wrestle up from butterfly, you can wrestle up from open guard, you can wrestle up from reverse de la Riva. Today, what I want to talk about is wrestling up when your opponent is outside passing you. Okay, so if I'm on top of Nate, and again, this is a common approach you see most people take when they're passing the guard, is nowadays a lot of people like to pass on the outside. Okay, so can I turn this way, Nate? It's here. So like running and Toriando passing, right? You see this a lot. And oftentimes we don't think about this position as a position to wrestle up in. Usually, right, we think about this as a guard retention position, right? Squaring the hips and recovering your guard. And although there's nothing wrong with that, the thing is you stay in a defensive cycle until you can either create an attachment, okay, or you can get up. So what we want to do is, instead of just settling for pummeling for a guard, we want to learn how to sit up and attack off of your partner's outside passing. Okay, so usually like the initial outside pass anyone's going to take, okay, is they're going to try to take an angle, get a hand on the hip, hand on the knee, okay, start to put some weight, and they're going to try to run Toriando pass. They're going to try to enter the Toriando here. They might bump up to a knee cut. Or what you see a lot is they run around and they try to run north-south, okay? Try to run all the way towards the head. So we're going to talk about solutions to all those options from the top player. So let's take a look at the first one. So just a basic Toriando pass here. So you have to understand when someone, like the basic Toriando pass is Nate wants to separate my elbow to knee here, okay? So when he runs to the side, he wants to try to run my legs around into this leg drag position. So the first thing we have to do is when my opponent takes an angle or my partner takes an angle on me, okay, I need to frame on the arm here and I need to maintain this knee to elbow connection. Okay, now from here, what I like to do is I like to block his ability to run this way. So as he starts to run, I use my shin across his leg. I'm going to slide it down and sit up for that single leg here. So we're going to go here. So he takes the angle, I'm blocking, I slide down and I sit up to a single. Okay, now because I sit up and my shoulder generally is below the knee, at the knee or below, I want to take a sweep single finish. So that means I want to sweep around Nate's leg, okay, and look to elevate right away, okay? Now once I get to this position, I'm going to climb up the hips, leave the hand, shuffle, and finish. Okay, so again, here, Nate takes an angle, I'm framing. Okay, as he cuts through, you guys see how I bring my shin across to prevent him from going leg drag here, going to leg drag. Now that creates a little space. Let's rewind this way. Okay, as he runs, look at this, creates a little bit of a hole right here for me to take my top frame, sit up, and I just try to get elbow deep. Now the reason why we want to sweep around our partner, if we stay here and Nate sprawls, okay, now it's like I'm trapped underneath him. Okay, so we want to make sure as soon as we enter on that leg, I swing my leg around and I get behind here. Okay, now always look to elevate the leg as it'll make for an easier finish. Okay, you can either choose to go to the quad pod and then break him down from the quad pod, or what I like to do from that position is climb up the leg and I look to lace the leg here and shuffle to slow my partner down and land in a good pinning position on the hip. Okay, so that's the first one, right? If Nate goes on his back. So you're gonna get one of two reactions. Can you scoot this way, Nate? Okay, so if I take an angle, okay, Nate blocks me and his shin is blocking me, okay? If I'm not gonna continue to run that, if I continue to run the leg drag, this is where Nate sits up for the single, okay? But if I feel this, the top person is usually gonna do one of two things. Either they're gonna step and lift this knee to force like a knee on belly situation, or they're gonna drop their head. They might even switch the hands and try to run around to north-south. So let's talk about what we do if your partner goes to lift the leg, okay, and bring your knees this way. So I'm here on Nate, okay, his knee to elbow connection's tight, okay, he's blocking my shin. I step and I go to lift the knee, okay? What Nate wants to do is plant his left foot. He's gonna hip escape and bring this arm all the way through and catch his leg here. Into this position. Now he just needs to hook my leg. Even better if he can grab his hamstring with his hand, even better here. Okay, notice how his head's in between. Now what Nate's gonna do is he's gonna sit his hip out. Okay, here. Now as soon as this happens, if you go against like just a normal jiu-jitsu practitioner, you're probably gonna get the response of they'll accept the sweep and now you're on top. Okay? If you go against someone who's going to scramble a little bit, they might try to build height with the hips. But notice the way that Nate has my leg hooked. Every time I try to kick out, okay, I can't get away. Now Nate's going to take his right hand. He's going to underhook my foot. He's going to go belly down. And he's going to look to build up with my leg. And then he'll continue to finish the same way here. Okay, so one more time. So I'm passing. Nate blocks my shin and I can't separate his knee from his elbow. So I go for step lift. As soon as I do that, Nate plants his foot to stop the lift of the knee. And he's going to sit up through and hook. Okay, ideally with his head through my legs. Okay, now again, once again, at the bare minimum, you want the leg hooked. Even better if you can grab your own hamstring here. Now Nate's going to knee slide through into this position. If they backstep, great, you have a sweep. But if they're trying to defend, okay, you just lay back, you keep going chest down, and you look to elevate the leg. Okay, it's very hard for the defender to attack or to escape that position. Okay, so let's also take a look at that again. So what the common response here is going to be, right? So once I come here, take the angle, I step lift, Nate steps through or he reaches through, is if they start sprawling and they step back and you end up in this situation. So now Nate's head is not through the legs. He's going to build straight up to turtle here. Okay? Now once you build up to turtle, you get one of two reactions. Either they're going to latch. Most people will latch onto a seatbelt or they'll latch onto the wrist here. Either way, you're going to use their attachment against them by trapping their wrists, okay? And we're just going to go for a basic turtle roll. Nate's going to drive his shoulder between his legs, sit to his hip, and finish. Okay? Now to exit this position, okay, he doesn't want to rotate towards my head because if he rotates towards my head, he'll allow me to build up with him. So instead, he wants to sink his back. And he wants to cut this arm through so that he could come up and collect the legs here. Okay, let's demonstrate that again. Here. Okay, so I'm passing. I'm feeling the resistance. I go to lift the knee. He plants, he sits up, but I sprawl and backstep. Nate builds up to turtle. Maybe I take a seatbelt. He traps my wrist, dives his shoulder, sits to his hip, finishes a nice turtle sweep where he'll, sink his hips, and he's going to cut this arm through, come on top. Okay, so let's take a look at what responses we might get to that. Now, this goes along the lines of turtle, but this is still important to understand. So if Nate sits up, I drop my knee, I back step. If Nate goes for the roll and I post my hand and I'm stopping the momentum, immediately when Nate hits that wall, take a look at his legs. He's going to circle around and trap my leg. And then once he traps that leg, he's going to take his inside hand and either take an outside grip on the leg, or if my leg's posted up, he's going to reach for the inside and he's going to keep circling with his hip to finish that sweep. Again, we end up in this position. He tries to go for the roll. I post. Immediately he circles, he traps my leg, and he's working either outside or inside, depending on if the leg's up. Here, same thing. He's going to cut his arm through, finish towards the legs. And now this combination works together because, again, let's explore that position. Here, if I block this way, boom, Nate goes to hip bump. I block this way, he just goes back to the roll. Here. So it's a great combination there. Now let's talk about the last one, north-south. This can be the hardest one to wrestle up from, but the easiest one to turtle. Now, if I'm running north-south on Nate, if Nate decides to stay on his back, which most jiu-jitsu players tend to do, it's kind of shitty for Nate because now he has to plan on inverting, But notice that if I take a north-south, if I run around the head, there's everyone just tries to shove the knees in. If you're really flexible, go ahead, just invert, try to shove the knees in. Yeah, everyone tries to do that, right? And that's great, but maybe you're someone who's not comfortable inverting or you're not flexible. All you have to do is get to your stomach. So as soon as Nate feels me running around his head, he could just simply turtle up and then resit now and recover guard. So that's like a basic escape. Again, let's take a look at that again. So this is a good alternative for those of you that aren't flexible and you feel like you have a hard time pummeling your feet in from a north-south position. So rather than trying to pummel your feet in, just turn to your stomach, and even though I sprawl, now you can sit back, recover guard. So that's just a basic guard retention, but how do we make that offensive? So we make that offensive by going for that inside reach, just like the knee on belly option. So if I'm running around Nate's head, as soon as I take that step towards his head, Nate's just going to reach through, and then just get to his stomach right away with the leg. Now he has all those options available to him, right? And in any situation I decide not to attach to Nate, he can look to drive his head underneath and then sit through just like the first option and scramble out of here. So let's go through all the options one more time so you guys can see how the whole system works. So Nate's on his back. I go for a Toriando pass. Basic one, as I'm taking the angle, Nate's going to block with his shin. And he's going to sit up and attack the single leg and sweep around my leg so that I can't sprawl on him. The second option, he blocks my shin. I go to fold the legs up into knee on belly. He's going to sit up and he's going to grab the inside. He's either going to sit through if he lands between my legs, or in the case the top person sprawls, you turn this into a turtle sweep position. You're either going to roll over the top or you're going to hip bump to the side. Lastly, we have what happens if they run to north-south. So if they run to north-south, you could either get to your all fours and then resit, or once again, we're going to go for that inside grip on the leg here. So I'm running, Nate takes that inside grip, and then now we're back into the turtle position where someone who is defensive can now be offensive. Hope you guys enjoyed that sequence here, that series. We're going to be going over our next couple of videos. We're going to be going over more wrestle up series. again, I think this is just something that I noticed that I think a lot of practitioners and a lot of athletes can use is, again, diversifying the attacks from bottom. I think the state of where jiu-jitsu is today, I think a lot of people have become overly focused on just attacking leg entanglements, which is good. Like, it's a great attack, but I think diversifying it with wrestling up from bottom is not only a crucial skill, okay? It's good for beginners because now you guys don't have to be afraid if someone's passing your guard. You could turn those defensive positions into offensive positions, but also for athletes, you can make fights more entertaining, and you can create opportunities to then get to another part of your game. Okay, the more skills you have, the better you'll be all around, and the more exciting you'll be. Okay, so hopefully you guys enjoy that. Stay tuned. We're going to drop another Wrestle Up series next week. So please like and subscribe to support our channel. And if there's anything we could do better, please let us know in the comments. Also, let us know in the comments if this series works well for you, because we just want to know if we're helping out, and we want to know what we can do better. All right, guys, thank you.